Okay. I've pressed the zip allowance open, both on the fabric and on the lining. Okay, so I also went ahead to turn the straps. Remember we joined at 0.25, so I've turned the straps and then it's only closed on one side. It's time for us to fix the straps. So we're going to fix the two straps in the front, and they'll be fixed after the 0.5 mark that we have there. Remember we had earlier marked half inch or 0.5 from one armhole to the other side. So we're going to place the straps after that 0.5 mark you have there, then secure firmly with pins, then sew along those marked lines. Then for the back piece, we're going to rip the loose stitches that we have there. The whole essence of those stitch lines was just to create a crease line for the zip. So we're going to place them right sides facing each other. Okay, so we're going to mark 0.5 inch from one armhole, from the armhole side to the zip area. Then after the mark, we'll place our straps just like we did in the front. After the 0.5 inch you have there by the armhole, then towards the zip area, when you're joining, we're not going to sew complete. So remember the allowance we have there is for fixing of the zip. So we're going to mark half inch before that 1 inch zip allowance we had earlier left. So that's where we're going to stop when we're joining. We're going to come back to that part when it's time for us to fix the zip. Then we'll repeat the same thing for the other side of the back. We're going to sew. Let's start with the front piece. So we're sewing from here, here, and here. Okay, so we're sewing. Okay, so we'll sew the one side of the back, starting from this 0.5 mark here. We'll sew the other side of the back. Okay, so here we have it. We are done. All right, so for it's time for us to notch. So you can either notch or trim, but children's clothes I prefer to trim. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off all these edges. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off. So this is it. We've turned the front. Let's also go ahead and turn the back. Let's notch. Let's trim off. Let's trim off the back piece. Same thing that we did in the front. Then we take off the pins and turn. So this is it for the back. For one side of the back, we'll repeat the same. But when trimming for the back piece, don't trim up to this point until you're done fixing your zip. And then stop like 1 inch before this half inch that we had earlier marked. And you take off your pins and turn. Okay, so here we have it. This is the other side of the back piece, the two back pieces. See them here. So the two back piece is ready. Two back piece is ready. with the front. Okay, so the two back piece is ready. The front is ready as well. This is the inside, what the inside looks like. So this is what the inside looks like. It's clean. This is the outside. It's clean as well. This is the inside of the back piece. And you see we've joined the sides up here and the armhole. Same thing with the front. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a good press. Then we'll come back and join the sides. We're back. Remember our allowance. It's time for us to finish off. Remember we left 1.5 inches sewing allowance when we were cutting. Now it's time for us to mark it. So you mark your 1.5 inches sewing allowance here. Okay, so you're going to sew on this line that we just marked. You're going to sew on this line. Then you pick one side of the back, 2, and you mark. Okay, so this is it. It's time for us to pin after you mark. So you come back and make sure that the two armholes meet. You make sure that the two armholes meet here. Ensure that they both meet. Then you pin it down. Now, these two places must join. The front and the back must meet. Then you pin. Meet. Then we're going to do the same. We're going to do the same on this other side. We have marked. So we are going to align the two the two armholes and pin. Mark, align the two armholes and pin, and sew on these lines. Okay, we're sewing on these lines this way, and on these lines this way as well. Okay, so we've joined the two, we've joined them, sewed from our mark lines here to here, and here to here as well. Okay, so that's how we've joined from here to here and here. We joined the two. So this is the outcome. This is the outcome. So we're going to open up and then press open the stitches. Okay, then we'll be right back. All right guys, so I'm done pressing them. I also use the iron to fold these sides. Just fold them. So you fold the both sides, all your side seams. So we're done with this top part. We're done with this. It's time for us to join. Let's keep this aside. Okay, so it's time for us to join our pieces together. Now let's go and join. We're going to join them this way with 0.5, so that at the end of the day we'll have a very long strip. The same thing with this one. Join each side with 0.5. Join all of them together. Then we'll be right back. All right guys, so I've gone ahead to join. I'm going to have to join the 5 pieces of this one that we cut at 8.5 inches. I've joined all of them together. Just look at it. It's not a long strip. I've joined all 5 together. I also went ahead to join this one. This one we cut at 4.5. I've joined all of them together. So it's now a long strip. Remember we cut out 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've joined the 4 strips together. Now we are going to, okay, so this is the lining. Now we're going to join. We're going to join this to this. Okay, so now we're going to join this to this. We're going to use, remember we left 0.5 inches allowance for this joining. So we're going to use 0.5 inches to join all of them together like this. So we're going to join it at 0.5 all the way, so that at the end of the day we're going to have a single fabric. Okay. Okay guys, you're welcome back. So I've joined the 2 pieces together. So I've joined the 2 pieces together with 0.5. I also went ahead to iron it open. So this is it. It's now a very long strip. And remember, the total length of this is 180 inches. Okay, the total length is 180 inches. So I've joined the 2 of them together like this. So now we have the entire length. Remember, we said that the half length is, remember we said that from the waist to the full length is 10.5, and we added ½ inch here for joining to the half length and 1 inch here for folding. So in total we will have 12, and that is what we have here. Okay, this is what we have here, 12 inches. Now we're going to gather it. Remember, this part is the one joining to the half length. Remember, we're joining here to the half length here. Okay, so I needed to show us that. Now we're going to gather all of them together. So I prefer to use you can use your machine, use a loose stitch, but I prefer to use my needle and thread. So you'll gather. I'm going to continue doing this till I get to the end. Okay, then I'll show us. Okay, all right guys, so I've gathered all of them, and this is what we have. So I've gathered it down to the length of this plus the zip. So her waist is 20 plus the 2 inches, so we have it here as 22. So that's her waist plus the 2 inches zip allowance. So I've gathered this down to the same thing. So 20 plus 2 inches, so that's 22. Okay, so here we're going to go and join these 2. Remember, we're going to use 0.5 inches. So we're going to use 0.5 inches and join these 2 together by the waist, and then we'll come back and show you guys. Okay, so I've gone ahead to mark the 0.5. I've marked the 0.5 all the way. Now it's time for us to remove the thread we used to gather. So I just took it off. So we're done. Here we have it. I've removed the thread we used to gather. So this is the wrong side. I'll go ahead and overlock these rough edges. Then this is the right side. Isn't this beautiful? Okay, so this is the right side. So we'll go ahead now and close. Okay, so we'll turn it to the wrong side this way. We'll turn it to the wrong side. Make sure that the 2 half lengths are meeting. Then you pin. make sure that the two half lengths are meeting, then you pin. Then after you pin, you check to be sure that they are both meeting. Okay, now remember we left 1 inch zip allowance. When you're making yours, you're supposed to overlock these sides, these edges before you fix your zip. So but I'll do that after. Now remember our 1 inch zip allowance. This is the crease for the 1 inch. So I'm going to measure. Alright guys, so I'm going to measure um, from the half length, which is the waist, from the waist for the child. I'm going to measure 3.5 inches down. That's where I want the zip to stop. But from the waist, I'm going to measure 3.5 inches down. That's where I want the zip to stop. I'll measure 3.5. I've measured 3.5 inches down here. So this is where I want the zip to stop. Then from here, I will come down. I'll come down here and measure my 1 inch. Remember our original 1 inch zip allowance. So then I'll measure my 1 inch here. So I'm going to connect this. So I'm going to connect this and I'm going to sew on this line first. I'm going to start sewing from this 3.5 inches we measured. I'm going to start sewing from here to here. Okay, so I'll do that and I'll see us. All right guys, so I've sewn that down. I've sewn the 1 inch from the 3.5 zip length here, which is where I want the zip to stop. I've sewed it down like this. So I'll just go ahead and take off my pin on the waist, turn it to the right side. Remember, we've not fixed our lining for the lower part. So I'll turn it, then bring my zip and then fix my zip. All right guys, so here is the zip. This is the invisible head zip. So remember our 1 inch sewing allowance, zip allowance. So I'm going to take the zip like this and fix. I like to leave about 2.5 inches zip inside the dress. So this is it. I'll place it this way and I'll stitch on this line. I'll stitch it all the way down. Then I'll come back and show us. Alright guys, so I've stitched one side of the zip. I've stitched it. Remember, I placed it this way and I sewed exactly at that 1 inch allowance we left, and then I sewed it all the way inside. Now you're going to flip it this way. Then for the second part, you have to turn the entire dress inside. You turn the entire dress inside, then you start from the down to stitch. But let me give us the secret, because you see these two half lengths, these 2 points that we joined, they must meet. They must meet. And there are some dresses you see, find that it doesn't meet. Let me give us the secret to it. Now, you see at this point where you have these joints here, just make a mark on the zip. Make a mark on the zip, then bring the other side that you will fix the zip on. Bring it, then place it exactly on this joining here. Make sure that that line you marked aligns with this joining here, and then you pin. After you pin, you check, you turn it to the right side and check. Can you see that both sides of the half lengths meet? Okay, so that's the secret. Now the next thing is for us to sew the other side of the zip from down up. So I'll do that, and I'll come back and show us. Alright guys, I'm done sewing the two sides down. Now it's time for us to see. Okay, now I'd like us to look at this joining. You can see that the both lines meet. Can you see? This is the joining of this side and the other side. Okay, now it's time for us to unzip. Okay, then we turn to the wrong side, pick up our lining. We'll turn to the wrong side, we'll pick up our lining, and then we're going to join. But for the lining, I prefer to pleat. I prefer to pleat the lining directly on the fabric. So I prefer to pleat the lining directly on the half length. So I'll take it to the machine, then pleat it small. I'll pleat it small on this inside. Then I'll see us. Okay, so I've pleated the lower part on the lining of the half length. Now it's time for us to close. We'll pin down the half length. Then remember, on the main fabric we measured 3.5 inches before we started fixing the zip. So on the lining we're going to measure 3.75 inches. That's where the zip is going to stop as well. Then we will mark, no, we'll pin down. Then we'll mark our 1 inch zip allowance that we added. Then we'll sew it down. We'll sew it down. Now it's time for us to use the lining to turn the zip. Okay, so we're going to sew from up to the lower part, and that's it. We're done, guys. The dress is ready. The only thing left for us is to fold the hem of the fabric and the lining with the 1 inch allowance that we had earlier left, and that's a wrap. Thank you guys for watching. Kindly like, share and subscribe, and leave your comments, and we'll see you in subsequent videos. Bye.